Hey there folks, this is Rational Ginger, just bringing you kind of a quick little updated video on Destiny 2. I watched the live stream the other day. There's not going to be any audio for this. This is just going to be the first campaign mission that they showed at the live stream. We've learned a lot since then, and I kind of just wanted to do a recap for those of you who have missed it or maybe would want to get the information all in one place. So let me start with the story. It opens with the Red Legion, which is a Cabal faction, attacking the tower and basically destroying the city. The three leaders of the Vanguard, Cade, Zavala, and Ikora, are all scattered to different locations. And the story is very much you're kind of trying to rebuild after the vicious attack, basically. Gaul, who is the leader of the Red Legion, his main motive, from what we've been told, is that he wants to take the Traveler's Light for himself. He believes that the Cabal, and well, him specifically, are the ones who should inherit the Traveler's Light, not humans. And that's why he goes basically on a rampage and kicks the crap out of everybody. So the Guardians are more or less cut off, and it's very much let's get the band back together type thing. So not too much more on the story. As far as locations go, there will be 4 new locations. It doesn't look like any of the old ones are returning just yet. One is on Earth in the European Dead Zone, which is a place that was referenced, I believe, in the first game. I think they referenced that and Chicago, but obviously we're not going to Chicago. Then there's, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing this, it's called Nessus. It is a Vex world that is outside of the solar system. Then the other 2 destinations are Io, which is a moon of Jupiter, and then Titan, which is a moon of Saturn, which I believe has a methane ocean. Now, as far as traveling goes to these locations, you don't actually have to go into orbit to get to new locations. So there's no, well, I was in this zone, let me go back up, let me go back down. They still have player ships, but we're not sure what the customization of that is going to be yet. It's probably going to be about the same as the first game. Maybe we'll get ship combat. We don't know yet. Another thing is that there will be NPCs in the overworld. So any of the patrol destinations that we go to, and yes, there are patrol destinations, will have NPCs. Now, there's supposed to be, kind of things like dungeons and side quests in addition to the strikes. So that's going to be very interesting to see. Now, the areas are supposedly larger. Now, how much larger, we don't know. The only thing that we've been told so far is that it's twice as large as some of the larger areas that they've done in Destiny 1. I assume that means it's going to be twice as large as, say, the hub area of Rise of Iron. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but we'll just see. As far as the overworld goes, we're going to get around on Sparrows again, obviously. Materials like your spin metal and all that. Chests and public events are back. Interestingly, they took a page out of the, I guess you would say, community's playbook, and now there are in-game public event timers, which is great. And as far as we know, the level cap is 20 right now, and now that may change. We don't know yet. As far as graphics go, it's going to be a max of 4K, 30 frames per second on the PS4 Pro and Scorpio. Obviously, the regular PS4 and the Xbox One or Xbox One S are probably only going to be able to output 1080p 30. Now on PC, the frame rate is supposedly uncapped, which means we could go above 60, and they will have support for widescreen and things like that. So that's pretty cool, like 21:9 monitors. The release date, as far as we know, is on September 8th for the console versions, but the release date for PC is unknown. I imagine it will probably be, I would say, a few weeks to a month afterwards. Going to PvP now, they have changed PvP a little bit. It's now 4 versus 4 on PvP on all modes, which sounds okay to me. I'm not, adverse to that. It seems kind of weird that they're doing it that way. Maybe that's going to be clarified later. There's a new mode, which is kind of a assault and defend mode called Countdown. Not more like, I guess you could almost call it like zones. I don't know why they're calling it a new mode. It almost seems like you could, make assault that mode, or the zone control, but that's just me. Now, interestingly, there's going to be changes to the HUD for multiplayer. you're going to be able to see when other players have a super, if they have heavy ammo, and you'll be able to see locations of deaths much easier. So that's cool that they're doing some kind of quality of life improvements. Now, in addition to that, with the online, there are going to be no dedicated servers from what we know, which makes sense. There weren't any in the first game. Now, the PC version, interestingly, is going to work through Battle.net, which is Blizzard's proprietary app. This isn't too out of the realm of, well, I mean, obviously it's happening, but it's not too unusual. Supposedly Blizzard and Bungie have been talking to each other quite a bit since they started working for Activision. I guess Blizzard wanted some tips on multiplayer for Overwatch and some kind of story stuff. Bungie wanted some tips on hey, how do we do the competitive stuff, So they just kind of worked off of each other, which is cool. I'm glad that the different studios can do that. Let's go on to weapons. The weapons have been changed up a little bit. There are 3 types now: kinetic, elemental, and power. Kinetic is just standard weapons, that just shoot regular ammo. Elemental, we're all familiar with those, solar, arc, void. I don't know if there's going to be new elements, but we'll see. Power weapons are more rocket launchers, grenade launchers, and maybe even sniper rifles. It's not very clear if sniper rifles are going to be interchangeable, although some people from the streams have said that certain weapons will be interchangeable in different slots. So there's no longer primary, secondary, and heavy. It looks like they've added SMGs and some more light machine guns, which seems kind of interesting. We had machine guns as power weapons in the first game, but they were kind of hit and miss. Most people preferred rocket launchers, although they were pretty handy against swarms of enemies. But we'll see how that plays out. Lastly, the classes have been overhauled. I'm not going to talk a lot about their new abilities. I don't want to spoil too many things, but each of the 3 classes, and there's only 3 classes in the game again, have had their abilities overhauled a little bit. Instead of Sunsinger, the Warlock now has the Dawnblade. Essentially, they get to summon a flaming sword, very similar to the ones that we were able to get in Destiny 1, and use it to hover in the air and throw fire at enemies. Let's see. The Titan, I think they didn't replace the Striker. They replaced one of the classes with Sentinel. And they basically use a void shield, kind of like a little mini shield on their arm that they can throw, charge enemies. It returns to them. It's kind of like Captain America's shield. And then the Hunters, instead of using the Arc Blade, they are now the Arc Strider. They use a staff instead of the 2 daggers, which is kind of neat. Now, they have said there's going to be some unique abilities for each class. We don't know exactly what those are yet. We do know that the Warlock is going to get some kind of a healing ring or a healing buff, which should hopefully kind of give them more utility in a raid or a strike. Most people take Sunsinger Warlocks around, just because they have that self-res. I mean, it's pretty handy when you're going on hard mode or Nightfall or something like that. But, a healing ring, that would help quite a bit. It looks like the Titans, too, they do get to keep their bubble shield, but it's been hinted that that might be a mobile thing now. And as you can see from the footage, the graphics are quite improved. They haven't said if there's going to be any new enemy factions. It looks like so far the Fallen, the Cabal, and the Hive are still going to return. Now, granted, they're all going to have different enemy types. Obviously, you can see the Cabal have, guys wielding swords. They have guys throwing flame, using flamethrowers, etc. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I'm just summarizing. There's much more detailed lists, and I'm actually going to post a link to a Reddit post that has more of the changes in case you want to dig a little further. But I just kind of thought it'd be a good idea to do this video and just explain to everybody what's going on, what they might have missed from the stream in case you weren't keeping up. But that's going to do it for this video, folks. I'm going to go ahead and stop it here, so I will catch you guys next time. If you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more content. Thanks, guys. See you.